can we get Jess in Alberta, Canada?
Absolutely, we can. Do you wanna pick them up?
I don't know how.
Okay, no worries. What number are they?
24.
24. There's Jess. Is it Jess or Jesse? You're on the air.
Jesse. Yeah, that'd be Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
How you guys doing?
Doing well. What would you like to talk about?
I was actually going to talk about prayer, answered prayer, or miracles. Specific miracle being that of Hacksaw Ridge, which I consider a miracle. I would say if you guys don't consider it a miracle, you would have to at least accept that it would be answered prayer.
Well, so let's talk about that idea for a second. Do we have evidence that God answers prayers?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. At what rate does God answer prayers?
I don't think you can shake them down like that.
I think that's how evidence.
It's not so easy to test.
Actually, that is how easy it is to test when you have evidence. It's exactly.
Well, prayer is not, it's not a physical material. So how can you just say that it's this person's praying and that person's praying, so therefore,
sure. Yeah, no problem.
They should all get. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Rudy.
Can I ask you, Jesse? Does it matter what or who you're praying to?
Yes.
Okay. Which who or what do you pray to?
So I'm a theist, and I'm a theist, and I believe in the Christian gods, obviously. Jesus,
okay.
The Christian God.
So when a Jewish person or an Islamic person or a pagan who has practiced this with one of their gods says that they asked for something and they got it, does that mean that what does that mean?
Well, from a theological perspective, you have to understand that there's other entities, right? It's not just God that's involved. So if someone were to say to me that they were Islamic or something, saying they prayed and got an answer, I would say, well, how do you know it's coming from God? And then we would
how do you know it's coming from God?
For myself, I can't speak for another person. I can't speak for people from Islam or whatnot. But for my specific prayer was for forgiveness. And I didn't grow up Christian. My parents aren't religious. Well, my mom is a believer. My dad is not. We never were forced to go to no churches or nothing like that. And then basically came down to a time where in my life I was like 25, did something extremely wrong, felt really guilty about it. I had this super guilt in my stomach. Then I said, I'll try this. Maybe I'll pray. Maybe there is a God or whatnot. Prayed.
Who did you ask for forgiveness from?
Well, I was asking for God, right?
Okay.
So at that point,
this really bad thing that you did you do it to God?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you do it to another person?
Yes.
Did that person forgive you?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I never it's hard that way, right? So,
so do you think that
I don't want to get
you from getting forgiveness from the person you wronged?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you there. Yeah,
that's okay. I said, do you think getting forgiveness from God absolves you from being forgiven by the person that you wronged?
Oh, absolutely not. I would have to get forgiveness from them as well.
Okay, so what significant forgiveness did you receive, if not from the person you actually did the bad thing to?
Okay, well, my experience is when you have guilt, you can feel it, right? You have people say they have a pit in their stomach or feeling in their stomach that's, really intense. So that would be the feeling of guilt or shame that you have after doing this thing. And I had no communication with the person after this was done. And I couldn't get communication with this person. I can't get into specifics, but I couldn't get communication back. This is why I couldn't ask them for forgiveness. Thus, I went to the only place I figured can give me a hand. So I went to God. Then I asked for forgiveness. And
so I mean, as an atheist, oh, go ahead, Rudy.
I guess that what I'm getting from this is that you prayed for somebody that you didn't wrong to forgive you, and then you stopped feeling guilty.
I didn't just stop feeling guilty. During prayer, the feeling of guilt that I had instantaneously went away with energy that I didn't even know. Like, I felt when I was praying, it was like energy that was touching me, and then my feeling of guilt was gone.
So
I have
I was like, how is this even possible?
I've totally experienced that myself. I had times when I was nervous and I prayed and I immediately had this feeling sort of wash over me of like, I felt lighter, I felt better, I felt confident, like all of the anxiety was just gone. But I have also had that exact same feeling from other things that did not involve prayer at all.
Yeah. And just to clarify why this is so problematic, I had the exact same feeling when I was super upset looking at violence in Africa, and then I donated to Coney 2012, and boom, the feeling just went away.
Yep.
Hey, if you've had that feeling, don't be so sure that it wasn't. You know, we can chalk it off and say that it's not God. How do you know it's God? Whatever, but
yeah,
how can we say that it wasn't?
Well, if your reasoning of how could you say that it is or how can you say that it isn't is pretty much equal. I mean, you don't have much reason to believe either way. So,
well, the only reason I'm leaning towards is because you're praying for something, and then it's like I didn't go straight to prayer. I know I'm skipping steps here, but I didn't go straight to prayer. I was trying to do other things, trying to get in contact with the person, trying to like relieve myself of the guilt. Nothing was working. So then I'm like, let's try prayer. Prayer worked. And then I was like, okay, well, if prayer worked, then it's possible that there could be a God, because I was relieved of my guilt.
Well, Jesse,
understand? I can't do that myself. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it myself.
Oh, yes, you can, because as far as we're concerned, you did.
Yeah, you prayed with the goal of, if I do this, maybe I won't feel guilty anymore, and that was the exact result.
Yeah. So here's your homework. Do you truly believe in the power of prayer here?
Yes.
Okay. And quit worrying about your guilt and start worrying about all of the spousal abuse that's been going on since this pandemic started. Start worrying about all of the people who are starving. Start worrying about all of the people who are in the streets getting shot right now. Pray for them.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's wonderful.
So does your God care more about you, less about them? Because it seems like God really took his time out of his day to help you. So how come your God's not helping them? If you want to go with this, that's fine. I'm glad to talk about the power of prayer, as long as we can agree that if that God exists, that God has got his priorities screwed up.
No, look, I can ask for, let's say, for example, for you, I could say I can ask for Eric, but unless if you don't want to receive it, you'll never. What's that?
George Floyd, dude.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just using you as an example. You just want to toss it to some other person or whatnot. Yeah, we can all do that. We can pray for other people. We can get them to help, right? We can get God to help in other ways. But I didn't want to get too pushed off this way. I kind of wanted to talk about a specific one where I can actually, I think, demonstrate it more that it does work.
Well,
go ahead, Rudy.
One time of you asking for something and it working doesn't necessarily mean anything. Because if you ask for something that is possible, if you ask for something to happen that is a possibility, you're not asking for something impossible, you're asking for something that is possible and may or may not happen. If it happens, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the fact that you asked for that to happen. It was a possibility regardless. So having that happen one time doesn't really prove anything. I haven't even heard what your example is yet, but Right now I'm telling you, if it's I prayed for something and it happened, even though it was really unlikely, it still wasn't impossible. That doesn't necessarily mean anything about the power of prayer.
Okay, sure, but again, it wasn't just a one-time thing. I'm skipping steps just to get to the point. Basically, it would have been like me. I was praying like, hey, like Jacob, not letting God go, saying, hey, you have to forgive me. And God's like, not doing it until
but
Jacob revealed who he was.
Yeah, the thing with prayer,
there's steps being missed.
There are a couple of things that I think that if you looked into and called back, I'd love to talk to you about those things. Would you be interested in for into something and then calling back? Look up the text.
I would, but I really wanted to talk to you about Hacksaw Ridge. That's what my initial call was for. And then as soon as I said prayer, you asked me a follow-up.
Well, because here's the thing. When it comes to specifics about answered prayer, you have to recognize, and I hope you do, that a lot of people have called in about things that they have said were miraculous. And you know what? On their face, without any other information, they sound amazing. That said, we have to contextualize that in the world that we're in. And so there are some things that we need to look out for when it comes to that. Those things being the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, right? Are we ignoring things?
What the hell would you say that? What was that? Let me write that down. What did you say that was?
The Texas sharpshooter fallacy.
Sharpshooter. Mm-hmm. Okay.
We don't have a whole lot of sharks here in Austin.
They should make a new fallacy and just call it the sharpshooter fallacy.
Right.
Just for the hell of it.
Okay.
But there are things that we do as humans that make things like claims like miracles seem much more likely. And instead of focusing on those things that may count as a hit, what we should be doing is evaluating the evidence to find out if those are statistical noise or if they are higher, there's a higher possibility of those things over what we should expect when it comes to just nothing at all, right? And I think that if you were to provide that...
I totally follow that.
Awesome.
The only thing is, I follow what you're saying. The only reason I'm leaning toward prayer and God is because, like, for example, prayed, got the answer. That wasn't it. It didn't just end there. I got the answer, and then I'm like, okay, that could have been anything. And then all of a sudden, the feeling came a few times later, the same feeling of the relief of guilt, but I didn't have guilt anymore, so it was like a different type feeling. And that when I got that feeling, it was leading me to the Bible. It was like, read the Bible. It's really odd, like that I would get a feeling that would tell me.
The thing is, the
Bible. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
I felt that way too. I read the Bible. Now I'm an atheist. It's not always good.
I know.
And also, please, if you really do think prayer works, please pray for people who actually need help. Your guilt can hold on for a couple of days. I promise. There are a whole lot of kids in oncology wards right now who would be very grateful if that were you were able to reach out and do that.
And if God's all powerful, he should be able to handle the extraordinary as well as the mundane.
No, of course, but people don't generally operate that way. Like if you're having trouble, people have enough trouble in their own lives. You think they're going to be worrying about other people? There's no way, man. People do worry
about
other people. Don't worry.
Yeah,
so, come on.
I was a Christian. I prayed for other people all the time. I prayed for people in other countries. I prayed for people in other congregations. I prayed for so and so's family who's sick. I know.
I understand that you can do that, but on an everyday life, do you see that happening every day? That people are actually doing that? No. People don't help each other every day, all the time. They have too much going on in their own life. They're worried about themselves. It's hard to survive, man. It's hard to survive in this world.
I agree. I wish that there was a God who could help, but so far we don't have the evidence.
All right, I don't know. Okay, well, you gave me something to look up. I'll look that up for sure. I kind of wanted to get into Hacksaw Ridge.
I know,
hey, look, I'll just leave you with this.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll do my homework.
Okay.
I'll do my homework.
I'll look up Hacksaw Ridge.
I do want to talk to you about Hacksaw Ridge. And number 2, there's a movie called Sunset Limited. I'd love you to watch it because I'd love to talk to you about it.
Oh gosh,
you have to show that. Have you seen that movie?
How about I just look up Hacksaw Ridge? I have so many movies that are don't do it to me, man. Don't do it.
No. I can call you about Hacksaw Ridge, but I do the reason I'm giving you specifically Sunset Limited is because it's exactly your show. It's just a conversation between a theist and an atheist. That's the entire movie, and it's Samuel Jackson and Tommy Lee Jones. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
That's why I'm suggesting that one. But for Hacksaw Ridge, I definitely want to call back.
Okay, do call back. Take care. Thank you for calling, and thank you for going with us on it, because I know you wanted to talk about one thing specifically, but when it comes to prayer, there's a whole lot.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's tough. I didn't realize you were going to come back, all that. So, I'll try again another time.
One other thing. Thank You, God, by Tim Minchin, says it very, very well. And also there's a quote that I think if you kind of dove into it, it might help. And that is that the plural of anecdote is not evidence. And there's a reason for it. So check it out. Hope that helps. Have a good one, man.
All right. Take care.
Good call.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to those first two guys watching, you can talk about things we don't agree with. We won't necessarily yell at you or get mad if you are a person who is good at engaging.
Right? Who would have thought? Rudy, I think if we're going to be talking about a call at some point, that I think would be a really fun one to talk about.